Hello, and welcome to an intro to Anthro with two humans. I'm human number one, John McCray.
And I'm human number two, John Lehr.
And this is the podcast where we reassess what it means to be human. And the title of today's episode is Catering for the Caveman, Authentic Cuisine, or BCBS.
BCBS. Well, this one's been on the radar for us for a while. This is entirely your brainchild, as it are most of the things on the show. I mean, let's be honest, you're the brains of the operation. But holy crap! I guess a week ago, maybe. I got a package from you in the mail. I'm in LA and you're in Albuquerque.
Right.
And it was filled with the weirdest food I've ever seen.
So we have a couple things going on with this one. First of all, I just want to say there was an article back in 2013 by Madeline Davis in Jezebel magazine called "Sorry, Neo Caveman, but your paleo diet is pretty much bullshit."
Yes.
But I had already titled ours, and then I happened to be searching something, and I saw her, so I wanted to give a shout out to her. I admire her titling, I guess I would say.
BCBS
spirit.
Yes.
Secondly, we're coming up on the holidays, John.
Yes, we are. We sure as heck are.
And we have Thanksgiving coming up, and then we have Christmas, and then of course once New Year's gets here in a few weeks,
yes,
everybody will be worried about their weight and trying to go on diets. So I thought we could actually do a show about diets and about what people eat.
Yes, well, and if you're, we're going to be doing the Hanukkah thing, which, for Hanukkah, which is, let's face it, it's not an incredibly important holiday. We just have it so our kids, the little Jew kids, get stuff too. But one of the things about Hanukkah is you're supposed to eat stuff that's fried in oil.
Really?
So yeah, that's why latkes are popular, because it's all about the oil, the miracle of the oil. So you're supposed to commemorate that. You're supposed to eat things that have a lot of oil. So yeah.
And what was it? It was like they had only so much oil left in the temple or something.
Yes. They needed to purify the temple after the Greek Syrians had defiled it. And so they sent some people away to go get fresh oil because they only had enough oil for one day or something like that. But the oil lasted 8 days, lasted long enough for them to come back with the fresh oil to keep the lamps going to purify the temple. So, it's a reach.
So now you eat latkes.
So now we eat latkes. But basically, it's just so that our kids get, G.I. Joes and stuff, too.
Yeah. Also, just so we're going to talk about some other diets, but we're going to come specifically about the paleo diet because that kind of goes along with this show, I think.
Yes, it does. It most certainly does. But diets in general is an anthropological topic of study. But I'm glad you're going to get back to our roots at the end, although I'm looking at this food you sent me and I'm concerned.
Okay, so secondly, John, this is our 20th episode. Congratulations.
We did it. And we want to thank you. If you're listening to this, we want to thank you because you're the reason we keep going.
Right. And thank you for listening, and thank you for being a part of this journey of self-discovery. So, and I don't know, years ago when we, as kids growing up, your dream was always to host a comedy anthropology show. Did you ever think that it would make it to 20 episodes?
Never. When in first grade was when I first was like, God, I want to do a comedy anthropology show. And now it's finally paid off. Thanks to you. Yeah. Thank you for making my dream come true.
I've known about your dream for almost 4 decades now, and I was like, I got to make that dream come true.
I'm always talking about comedy anthropology show.
Disappointed every birthday. It's like, it's nice. It's a nice gift, but no comedy anthropology.
Yeah. You've given me the gift of a lifetime. Thank you.
We are going to mix a little business with pleasure And we're going to have a little celebratory luncheon for our 20th episode to celebrate.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
And as you could tell already, I've put together an authentic, as authentic as I could to mail it to you, paleo meal as to what our ancestors would have eaten about 45,000 years ago.
Jesus.
So
there's a couple here I'm not sure I can do.
Yeah, me too. I'll eat just about anything, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
There's one in particular that I'm really nervous about.
Yeah, I think I know what it was.
Oh my God. Ooh.
All right, but let's get the business out of the way, and then we'll get to our luncheon.
Yes. Yes.
First of all, John, have you ever been on a diet? Have you ever consciously gone on a diet?
Not really. I mean, I try to eat right. Like, I don't know if you call it a diet, but I try to, I know you kicked sugar a while back. You're in very good shape. You're for a man your age, I think you're in perfect shape. Did you go back to sugar?
I went back to sugar was the hardest one because sugar's in everything, first of all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after about 30 days without sugar, my detox just drove me crazy. I wanted to tear my face off. It was worse than cigarettes.
Yeah. You've quit some things too.
I know. But it's
really
awful.
You that has scared me away from trying to quit sugar. Because I remember that. I remember you telling me, don't ever do it. Don't do it. It's so hard. I want to kill myself.
It's the worst. It's the worst. I did the paleo meat thing where I only ate big plates of meat for a while all the time. I did veganuary for a time where you give up meat. So I eat only meat and then give up meat. For the month of January. And I actually that one was great, although it's very hard to eat anything if you're a vegan and you go out to eat with friends. Because everything has cream or
you can't do
something.
It. That and in LA there's a lot of vegan restaurants you can go to, and they're really good. When I go with my vegan friends, I'll eat it and I'll be like, this is great, but I still want chicken.
Well, in Albuquerque there's not many. There's not many.
No.
And you have to go with a group of other vegans, I think is what you have to do.
Yeah, you got to stick with your own kind.
Yeah, and the thing that I went like 3.5 months without eating any animal products.
Wow.
And it started January 1st. And then in the middle of May, I went back to Kansas City for my mom's birthday. And I was able to put off all of the corned beef and cabbage for, St. Patrick's Day. I was able to do all that. And then right when we were getting ready to leave, we were all hanging out at my mom's place waiting for our flights. And my cousin said, let's get barbecue.
Yeah. And you were like,
yeah.
And that shows your Kansas roots. I'm sorry that it busted your vegan run, but if you're going to bust vegan, that's the thing to bust it on.
They brought in the burn-ins, the brisket, and I just couldn't.
No,
I was so close. I should have just gotten in the car and left.
That's like somebody's brought in. You're like kicking heroin, and somebody brings in a nice clean needle with Dilaudid, ready to go. No.
I just stopped talking to everybody and just sat in the dining room and ate by myself. I was like, I got 3 months to make up for this. But anyway, I always try to, it's interesting. I try to push my body, kind of the same thing. We've talked about it before when it comes to drugs or alcohol, that you try to see what your body's going to do, when you take drugs or alcohol. And since we've stopped drinking and stopped doing drugs, now it's like I do it through diet. You know what I mean? Like I want to try it. I want to try to see. There's still that part of me that wants to see it.
Yeah. And when you've quit everything and you're sober and clean, food becomes the thing that's left. It's like that and coffee. No, and masturbation. That's all you have.
Those three, the big three.
That's it. That's the big three.
So just to talk about, in their book, Anxious Eaters, Why We Fall for Fad Diets, Janet Chrzan, who's a nutritional anthropologist, and Kima Cargill, who's a professor of psychology, say that more than any other culture, Americans are more likely to consider their diet to be a large part of their self-identity.
Yeah, it's amazing. And
Yeah.
aren't we the fattest culture on earth?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not working.
Right. And well, I memean, it's like you define whatever it is. If you're defining like I'm going to eat whatever I want, I'm going to be as big as I want, or you're saying I'm not going to eat that.
I see.
Our diet is influencing who we think that we're putting off for the world, or who we think we are to ourselves, even.
Interesting.
And Chrzan and Cargill say that our diet and what we eat is tied up with some core American values, such as freedom and self-determination.
Oh, boy.
Culturally,
us with our freedom.
Yeah, I know. So
be careful what you ask for.
Yeah. I mean, and you always hear about it whenever like the government issues a guideline for like, hey, you better not drink so many big gulps, and people will be like, no, I can drink however many big gulps and
there
get
was
out
just
of my
a
body.
Senator on the air when the FDA or they sent out guidelines like try to keep your beer consumption down to 2 bottles a day or something like that, and there was a senator who got on and was like, oh, you're gonna try to take my beer away.
Yeah,
like, no, nobody's trying to take your beer away. They're just saying, here's something. Here's what we think is good.
Some advice. You know what I mean?
Some advice. Yeah. Oh, they're gonna take your hamburgers away.
Yeah. So that's usually when you hear about that. But I guess it's also with everything. Like if someone were to tell you you have to eat a hamburger, most people would be
I'm not eating a hamburger. Yeah.
Right. And Chrzan and Cargill, then they cite Warren Belasco, who's another writer who's written a number of books about dieting. And Belasco says that Americans' obsession with dieting is based on beliefs such as individual perfectibility and willpower, the ability to control nature, and the priority of youth, and also a mechanistic view of the body, the Protestant work ethic, and faith in consumer capitalism.
You know what? That all rings true for me. I'm nodding to all of that. Willpower, and you and I have talked about this before. Yeah. Willpower is wasted. The only people who have willpower are people who don't need it.
Yeah.
It's like when a millionaire tells you to follow your passion. It's like, all right. Yeah. Is that what you did? Okay. Follow my passion.
Yeah, I feel that thing about I'm just going to will myself to be how I look the way I look. It's like, look, I can will as much as I want. I'm not going to be like 6 foot tall. You know what I mean?
No, it's right. This idea of that we can decide exactly what we're going to be is so American. It's so American. No matter how many times it's shot down, where it's like, well, you can do some, but you can't do it all. No, I can.
And I like how he talks about the mechanistic view of the body. Like we can, there's a diet, there's a process, there's a pill we can take that's going to give us exactly what we want. And the capitalism part of it where, I'll pay for it. If it's out there, I'll pay for it. And that will give me what I want, which it never does.
Never does. Even that shot that they're all doing now, I forgot what it's called. But yeah.
And he says that this is a belief system that sees the body as, quote, infinitely malleable, that makes an individual naturally responsible for his or her body shape, and indeed morally culpable if not appropriately and youthfully thin.
Yes.
Unquote.
Yeah.
So to me, what's interesting about that is that we're kind of bleeding over into... Like if your body shape is out, or if you don't have the body shape that you think you should have, then the belief that you're morally responsible, or there's something wrong with you morally,
you're a bad person. Yes, yes,
right.
And boy, is that a double whammy,
Yeah, you can't win with that one. You can't win with that one. I don't think.
And you're bad and wrong,
right?
Because of the way you look.
Yeah. And Chrzan and Cargill then say that in America, since colonial days, we've had an abundance of available food. And I know that there are definitely individuals and certain communities that have, have food problems or not enough food.
Yeah.
But as a nation, what they're saying is that really that's one of the reasons everyone came to the colonies, was to get away from the starvation and the famine.
Mm-hmm.
And I double checked them on that, because I went through and I looked at a list of all the major famines throughout history.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, there's like 300 famines on there going back to, the BC days.
Mm-hmm.
And not one of them is in America. So, and I'm not saying that famine does, or food issues don't exist here, or like people being hungry don't, because they do. But it's interesting that as a nation, we've never had to, face the famines like the Irish potato famine, for example, or the Ethiopian famine in the 1980s. Or,
But we're facing a famine right now that you're ignoring, which is Ritalin. There's a Ritalin famine right now.
Is there?
Apparently, it's very hard to get your ADHD drugs. Nobody can get them. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Why is that? Is that?
I don't know. And we went through the Cabbage Patch famine. Remember when nobody could get a Cabbage Patch doll for Christmas?
Yeah. The Ellmore famine of the 90s was awful.
Yes.
We were on a trip to Cancun one time, and the resort we were at took a bunch of American tourists. They took us to Tulum and all that stuff. And then we stopped at another resort that they owned to have lunch. And it happened that like 5 busloads of people all showed up at the same time. And the buffet ran out of food immediately.
Uh-oh.
And people, within a matter of minutes, chaos. People had lost their minds that there was no food, like hundreds of us in there. And there was no food on the buffet. And it was just like, people were screaming, like, you gotta get us out of here. Like, this is like, we've been in here for 10 minutes, And
meanwhile, it's on the ocean, which is full of food.
I know. Well, what I did is it got so loud in there, it was so crazy. I was like, I gotta get out of here. So I went outside, and by the pool, everybody was inside trying to get food. There was nobody out there. So I went behind the bar out by the pool, and there was a cooler out, a freezer, and I opened it up, and there was a big tub of vanilla ice cream out there with a bunch of cones just stacked up, ready to go.
Oh my God!
So I just feasted on vanilla ice cream cones, watching inside the restaurant as people were losing their minds.
You didn't share your bounty, huh? You just kept it for every man for himself.
I was like, hey,
you're not going to go. I thought you were going to tell me you went in and scooped ice cream for everybody, but no.
Well, I went in and got Mary and our friends, another couple.
Yeah, like, boy, that's how it breaks down, doesn't it? Blood. Yeah. You get blood. Yeah.
But that was after I'd eaten so many ice creams, I couldn't eat anymore. And then they went back in, I think, to try to get some more food. And I went walking around again, and like all the restaurant staff had gone in, or all the hotel staff had gone into the lunch area, the dining room, to handle all the chaos, the near riot. And I found like a bunch of like a carafe of coffee just sitting out there. So I had a great time there.
Oh, you had coffee and ice cream.
That's my favorite meals.
You're an anthropologist. You know how to live off the land, how they did back in the day. You resorted, you used your training.
Yeah. Calmly went out and just get away from the group.
You hunted and gathered.
Yeah. So Chrzan and Cargill say that the food anxiety that we feel then is not about going hungry. It's more about the social and cultural anxiety of the fear of falling. For example, we'll lose our shape, for example, or we'll lose, we'll be unable to control ourselves, and we won't be attractive anymore, whatever it is. And so it's falling down that social ladder is where our food anxieties come from.
Okay.
And they say that these are cultural narratives of anxiety about food rather than individual fears about specific food problems. As cultural tropes, they are shared socially and validated by mass group acceptance by communities of practice. So it's something that everybody reinforces. About, hey, what's going on? You? Yeah.
Well, our country, like you live on the coast and there's people are so food aware here, and exercise aware and their bodies, and many people are in the business, of exploiting their image so they're very, lots of gyms, lots of that. And and then I go and go back to my roots in the middle of the country and see, my relatives and everybody. And it's like, they're twice the size of everybody on the coast. And it's so interesting to see that. And I think, my Midwestern, friends and family are like, hey, this is who I am. It doesn't seem, and there's sort of a desperate nature out here of trying to hang on at any in any way you can. You staple your skin, you take these shots in your stomach, it's amazing. And there's a certain vehemence about it that is just kind of you can kind of feel the vibe,
right? What I always found interesting out there is that everybody, even though they're not involved in the movie industry, but you'll have like your realtor, or you'll have your eye doctor. They all are like putting it on, like, I gotta look good forever,
They've all got their teeth veneered, and they're going to the gym 4 hours a day and eating,
it's like
eating
you're
nothing.
An eye doctor.
I know. My eye doctor. You say that, it's so funny because my eye doctor is so goddamn handsome. Him and his partner. It's a male-female team. They're not married, and they're both gorgeous. And it just sucks going in there. Because they're like, oh, well, looks like you're going to have to do the bifocals. And I'm just like, fuck you.
Just give me perfect shape. Goggles, give me a helmet with some glasses in it to hide my face. That's what you're asking for. So just talking about diets, in her article, The Seesaw History of Fad Diets, Lisa Kingsley says that about 45 million Americans go on a diet every year.
Jesus, that's a lot.
And she lists out some of the diet fads that Americans have followed, going all the way back to the 1830s, was Sylvester Graham, who was against eating processed flour. He's the guy who came up with the graham cracker.
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
In the 1860s in England, there was a guy named William Banting who was like the first guy who did a low-carb diet.
Really?
And, yeah. And apparently
it doesn't take a genius to realize you should eat less baked goods.
I know. Yeah. But he wrote a booklet that was called Letter on Corpulence that became very popular, talking about how much weight he had lost. And Banting was actually, the term, quote, banting, unquote, became a term back then to, like, if you were doing that diet, the low carb diet, and someone said, hey, do you want a piece of cake? You'd be like, no, thank you. I'm banting. Right
now. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm banting right now. Thank you.
You're what? Banting?
Oh, you're not aware? I can tell.
Yeah. John Harvey Kellogg, which remember that movie, The Road to Wellville?
Yes, I do.
He was in that. He was the character in that. He early 1900s. He said an all grape diet with yogurt enemas. Was that?
Oh boy! Wait, the enemas, the yogurt goes in.
The yogurt goes in.
Oh.
Yeah. And there's a scene in that movie. I watched it kind of thinking about him while I was researching this one. And there's one where Matthew Broderick's character is like I think is it Matthew Broderick or is it John Cryer in that one? I think it's Matthew Broderick. But he says like Kellogg recommends some yogurt for him. He's like, well, I think I've already had breakfast. And he's like, it's not going in that end.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Kingsley then talks about the grapefruit diet in the 1930s.
Mm-hmm.
Eat a grapefruit with every...
Came back in the 80s, I think. Wasn't there one in the 80s?
Just eat a grapefruit with every meal.
Mm-hmm.
The cabbage soup diet in the 1950s. You could eat all the cabbage soup you wanted.
Okay. Yeah, you're going to lose weight down that road.
I don't know. We should try that. Like, how much
it will work eventually. You'll be like, fuck back of this stuff. If you give me one more drop, I will kill somebody.
Can't even make it out to the car. I got to run back in the house. In the 1960s, you had Weight Watchers where you would keep track of your calories. 60s,
still very successful Weight Watchers, apparently. That one tend to work. Of course, you have to do it.
Right.
I guess all of them, you just have to do it. But Weight Watchers, for some reason, has a high success rate.
Yeah, and it's been around forever now, 60 years now. Wow. You also had the macrobiotic diet back in the 60s where it was brown rice and vegetables.
Oh, boy.
Then there was actually something called the 3-day diet back in the 60s. And when I first read it, I thought it said 3-way diet. And I got all excited thinking that was one I would like to try. But then it was 3-day diet.
What do you do for 3 days? You don't eat. That's the diet.
I think it's a liquid diet. It's a liquid that you just drink things for 3 days.
Ugh, I go crazy after a while. I just go crazy.
You had the Atkins diet in the 70s, the Beverly Hills diet in the 80s. Then in 2000s, you had the Zone diet, the raw food movement, South Beach diet, and the Paleo diet.
Yes. I can smell in my office here.
And just some of the other things that people have done to try to lose weight in this country over the years. In an article called Terrible Fad Diets Throughout History, Jennifer Wright talks about how women in the 1800s used to swallow tapeworms.
Oh, and my God.
Yeah.
That works. Yeah. That works. That'll work.
They said that the thing was to try to get it. I mean, you would take it, the tapeworm would be in a pill form, like a capsule. You would swallow that. And then the idea was that the tapeworm would eat all the food that was in your stomach.
Oh, God.
And you wouldn't put the weight on.
Which is true, right? But it grows. They grow really, really, really long, like 20 feet long. Inside your stomach. Well,
how to get it out? There was a pill you would take to kill it when you were through losing weight. But then how do you get it out of your body?
Oh, my God. Yeah. That makes me sick. Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's just...
Yeah.
When was that?
That was in the 1800s.
Jesus Christ.
The other thing people would try to do is the one upside of tuberculosis was that it made you lose weight.
Oh, no. So people would infect themselves with TB?
Well, one doctor said that he felt like people were trying to get TB to look, look lighter.
Jesus
and look
Christ.
It's kind of like the heroin chic
creatures. Yeah.
There was some, in the 20s, they said that cigarettes were the way to lose weight.
That's true.
Hunger suppressant.
You and I know that. We should post some pictures when we were smoking. God, we were thin.
I was really thin. Thin.
Me too.
Coffee and cigarettes. That was all I had. And booze. Then Wright talks about in the 70s, there was a book called Help Lord, The Devil Wants Me Fat. And that was a program where you would try to pray. The idea was that the devil was the one that was making you gain weight. And so instead of eating, you would read the Bible and pray.
Pray him away. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Pray the fat away.
And then there was, in the 60s, there was something called the drinking man's diet.
Here we go. This is right up my alley. I've been on this diet. I was on this diet for about almost 20 years.
And I can't tell if this one's trying to be real or not, or if it was just kind of throwing it. Because one of the pictures is Dean Martin reading the booklet about the drinking man's diet. But in an article in 2017, Laura Smith said, this was the beginning of the diets that appeal to manhood. Meaning that it was like, and the idea was, it was implicit that men could eat their way to manhood, that what fuels us defines us. And one part of the drinking man's diet was that it made fun of people who cut calories, for example, who watch their calories. So the drinking man's diet basically said you could have a big steak. I mean, they always talk about you could have a steak, you could have a salad with Roquefort dressing, you could have your martinis at lunch. but just don't eat a potato. That was the only thing you couldn't have. And it was kind of, if you think about it at that time, that was like the Mad Men era. And so, where people were like, you go out for your 2-martini lunch and you'd have your big steak and then you'd have your affair with your secretary. And so it was appealing to these men who were like businessmen, like, this is what I want to be. Nobody tells me what to eat.
Right.
I could still have my booze, my scotch. I just won't eat a potato, and I'll be in great shape. And usually they ballooned up to like 300 pounds. That's
right. And they have that sort of alcoholic, thickness.
Oh yeah.
To the
Yeah. But again, it was kind of going back to this this age, or this nostalgia for an age when men did what they wanted. A powerful man eats what he wants, does what he wants. Yeah.
And meanwhile, the women are all taking pills.
Right.
Because it's Valley of the Dolls time for them.
I know. Yeah, that's true.
God, we're insane.
I came across an article that was talking about what gladiators ate in the Roman Empire. And that was kind of interesting because, you see the movie Gladiator and they're all like ripped. You know what I mean? They're all like really ripped. You think they'd all be eating paleo diet or only meat. And and this article by Andrew Curry says that they actually ate like a really high carbohydrate diet. The gladiators
to get the energy.
And also you wanted to put on weight because it was all about the spectacle. So you wanted a layer of fat so you would get a flesh wound that would bleed more. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so they're all just fatties walking around there with swords.
They've looked at gladiator cemeteries in the Middle East, and sure enough, they come back and they're like, they had a high carbohydrate diet of grains, and it was all to put that fat layer on there to make you last longer. It wouldn't be such a deadly wound if you got.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So the one thing that's kind of common to all of these diets is the idea of a magic bullet. And what Chrzan and Cargill say is fad diets make extravagant promises about results, assuring users that the relatively small effort of adhering to a seemingly easy diet will pay off with outsized results in multiple areas of life, from physical appearance to mental functioning and longevity. And to me, a lot of this starts, again, being an alcoholic and being an addict. A lot of it's very similar, of like, you think that it's going to be real easy. If I quit, everything's going to be if I just do this diet, everything in my life is going to be perfect.
Yes. And then you find out, like, because that's, when you're an alcoholic, you think, okay, my life is shit. All the problems in my life are because I'm a drinker. Once I stop drinking, then everything should work out. And you stop drinking and everything doesn't work out. Some things are better, but some things are worse, because you're going through and it's just such a bummer. It's such a harsh toke to go, man, I still have to be a human being and be diligent.
And it seemed when I was reading this, it all seemed very familiar to me.
Yes.
Because it's like, look, there's no easy way to kick an addiction. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it doesn't change, like you were saying, it doesn't change everything. Like, you may lose a lot of weight, but there's still, if there's something in there that's bothering you, it's still going to be there,
Yeah, my friend says, like, when you squeeze the balloon, it pops out, but smaller things pop out between your fingers, So, like, if you squeeze the alcoholism, gambling pops out, sex pops out, video game addiction, and it's interesting. The balloon, the air, the balloon still has air. It just goes in different places.
That's really interesting. So how does this all apply to the paleo diet or the caveman diet?
Yeah.
And to understand the paleo diet, we kind of need a little background about how people actually ate back in the Paleolithic.
Quickly,
and just so you know,
the run, they were being attacked all the time, right? Dangerous.
So archaeologists and anthropologists usually divide human prehistory into 3 broad periods, and there's subdivisions in all of these. But you have the Paleolithic, which is the Old Stone Age, which started about 2.5 to 3 million years ago.
Damn.
Then you have the Mesolithic, which is the Middle Stone Age, which started about 25,000 years ago. And then you have the Neolithic, which started about 10,000 years ago. And usually...
And that's really us, right? The Neo is really... we would go back and see a version of us then.
Well, like, I think we would recognize us through, at least through the Mesolithic, 25,000 years ago. And probably 200,000 years ago, we would recognize us as being modern humans. Now,
I see.
What they were wearing and what they were eating and how they smelled and, you know, how they got around would be different. But they were, you know, technically modern humans just like us.
We're so young as a species, right? We're just so new. We just exploded onto the scene. Right.
And what they say is, you know, for approximately 2.5 million years of our history, we, Homo sapiens, lived as hunters and gatherers or foragers. And we would hunt wild game, we'd look for shellfish, and then we'd look for berries and nuts, and we'd dig around for roots. And then approximately 12,000 to 10,000 years ago, we began to domesticate wild animals and plants. And that's really what's called the Neolithic Revolution. It's like when we started growing our own food and domesticating animals. And it happened at different times in different places throughout the world. But that's really what it led us into the new Stone Age.
Well, the way I was taught in school was that it started at the crescent, the Fertile Crescent.
Right.
That's where the Tigris and the Euphrates and that's where it kind of really began.
Yeah.
But you're saying it did, but there were places throughout the globe that were happening at the same time.
Right. It didn't start and then spread out. People were domesticating different plants in different areas.
Everybody started figuring it out at the same time, which happens with almost every invention. You know, like radio. There were two people figuring it out at the same time. You know, it's like, it's so bizarre.
I always figure it's like coming up with a script. You think that you have the most new idea that nobody's ever thought about, and then you present it, and then somebody's like, "Oh yeah, so and so over it."
Right.
Fox is working on that already.
Right.
You know?
But then as you get into the business for a long time, you realize that's a good sign.
Yeah.
You know, oh, my script. There's another one. Oh, that means I'm doing. You know, I'm in the pipe.
Yeah, they're looking at it. They're looking at it.
Yeah,
it's not so crazy.
This is
some of the things, for example, teosinte, which was the ancestor of our modern corn, started out as a grass, for example.
Jesus.
And then now we see, you know, the big ears of corn that we had. But teosinte was really kind of just started out as a wild grass.
We're not eating that today, are we? After the show?
No, I don't think we have. I could try to find.
No, I don't want to eat any grass. Thanks.
It's funny when you go in and you excavate or you go into like prehistoric sites here in the Southwest, like the prehistoric corn that you still find in there is only a couple inches long. It's not like these big ears of corn that we think of today.
Yeah. We've got it good. We really do.
Yeah, there's some things that we have that are pretty good. But like you were saying, like, for example, rye, the grain rye was domesticated around 13,000 years ago in Syria. Rice, 7,000 years ago in Asia.
Squash was that long ago.
No.
I mean, rice is only 7,000 years old?
I know.
Jesus.
Squash was being grown in Ecuador about 10,000 years ago, like purposely grown. And anthropologists estimate that Native Americans domesticated approximately 300 foods, including corn and the potato, which are two of the big ones that we have now. So,
God.
Internationally. And then around 10,000 to 11,000 years ago, we domesticated animals like sheep. And then probably, you know, it's one of the things that made the change in the Neolithic is once you start growing your own food or domesticating animals, it's very hard for you to move around. So people had to settle down into permanent villages to keep an eye on their grains.
And then you also have division of labor. Like this guy does good with the goats, so he trades his goats for your wheat, and there you go.
Right.
Now there's an economy.
And there were advantages to it, like, you definitely had population growth. For example, like you have more food, so you're a steady food source, so your population is going to grow. And they found that also, like, dependence on farming, as it increases, so does fertility. For example, just I think
Interesting.
again because there's just there's a steady flow of food coming in.
Yeah. And you're
And
not traipsing all over the savannah with it pregnant. That's gotta
right,
suck.
trying to run with like
Yeah. Yeah.
8
There's a
months
saber
pregnant
tooth.
trying to
Yeah,
run.
exactly. Come on, come on, come on.
Yeah. But there's also disadvantages to domesticating plants and animals. And first off, usually they chose the plants that were for their storability. They weren't chosen for actually their nutritional value. So the ones that they selected, yeah, you could grow a lot and you could store it and you could still eat it, but it may not have been the most nutritional food,
Yeah. What?
that was out there.
Yeah. Well, rice is not very traditional. I mean, isn't very nutritional, right? It's at least white rice is not. I mean,
I
for a
don't
grain,
know.
it's okay, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's not like
yeah. I love white rice though.
Me
So
too.
I could eat
It's making me
white rice.
hungry. I'm looking at all this crazy food you got me eating, and I'm wishing I had some white rice to put it
Okay,
on.
we'll get there. We'll get there. Don't
Enough
worry.
white
Don't worry.
rice and soy sauce, I'd be fine. You could eat
Uh,
anything.
Secondly, the disadvantage is that if you focus on only a small group of plants for a larger portion of your diet, if
Yeah,
something happens to that plant, then you're screwed.
you're
For
screwed. The
example.
potato famine. The potato
Exactly.
famine.
Exactly. And the other thing is that growing plants and domesticating animals and taking care of them took a lot of work.
Yeah,
And
a lot
usually
more
they
work
find that, yeah,
than
more
wandering
work than
around.
foraging.
Yeah. Foraging, you just get your meal and now you're done. Now you sit
Right.
around and nap till you get hungry again.
And they've actually, some anthropologists have done like analysis of that on modern day hunters and gatherers. And modern day hunters and gatherers, they're not a perfect representation of what it was like 10,000 years ago or 15,000 years ago, because they've been touched by, they have some like, you can't get away from it. Like there's some things that are good that you can look at as an analogy,
Right.
but it's not perfect.
Right.
And but what they find is that they usually don't have to work as much. It only takes them about 2 days a week to gather as much food as they need to gather.
God,
So,
but then what do? You just look at each other. I mean, Jesus.
yeah, yeah, that's one drawback. That's another disadvantage. And then the other disadvantage, once we became living together and got close to our animals, was a disease. That we got all these diseases like smallpox and the flu and things like that. So some anthropologists will say that, agriculture and domestication of animals was probably the worst thing that ever happened to Homo sapiens.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, it's trade-off. It's trade-off.
Yeah.
More of you live. So,
Right.
I think in the end, you got to, if you're going straight Darwinian on it, it's that the domestication has helped. I mean,
yeah,
in terms of just, there's more of us.
Yeah, ultimately, sooner or later, I mean, there's going to be more of you living than are dying from from the diseases. So,
Right. It's still, over time, it's the best bet. But
yeah,
you're talking quality of life here. I mean, look at you and I. We're fucking humping it every week. For what? A hamburger?
Yeah.
That makes me hungry. I love hamburger.
Yeah, me too. We're getting there.
I
We're almost there.
I'll eat the Big Mac near burger, the near beer burger.
Yeah.
Have you had it? It's good.
I haven't had the Big Mac. You know what? You can't really taste much in that Big Mac anyway.
Yeah, it's covered in ketchup and mayo, and it's got all these veggies on it that have been pickled or whatever. I'm fine with it. I say we all know where we're headed. Soylent Green.
Yeah.
That's where we're all headed. There's one species that we can eat that's everywhere, and that's us.
Would you, in that movie, if you were Charlton Heston, would you still eat Soylent Green if you realized it was humans? He seemed like he wouldn't eat it anymore. Yeah.
If I got hungry, I'd be like, you know what? Give me the Soylent. I'll eat it. They look like little green crackers. How bad can it be? I'm looking at the crap you got the caveman eating. Part of me wants a little Soylent Green right now.
Yeah.
What's wrong with eating ourselves? I don't know. I think at some point we're going to get over that. We're going to have to.
I think we'll have to do one on cannibalism.
Yes.
But I think there's some health issues for cannibalism. Like,
right. Well, the science would have to get us past that, right?
Yeah. But Soylent Green, you put nacho on there. Nacho,
you dip it in salsa.
Green. Yeah. Spicy hot. Fire.
Put some peanut butter on it. I don't know.
But immediately after we started doing 10,000 years ago, immediately after we started living on foods that we had grown, there were some, in the archaeological record, there's some health issues that came up. For example, the height of people decreased. And then they started to see like the tooth wear. People started to have more dental problems because they were eating like grains that would turn into sugar more sugar type things. And then
alcohol.
Also there was, and there was more arthritis in people because they were out there working in the fields and things, which you normally didn't have to do.
Right. You'd be lounging more.
Right. And mind you, this is by about 4,000 BC or 4,000 years ago. The skeletal record in Egypt, for example, shows that people had already gone back up to what they were prior to when agriculture came along. So we adapted to that, and but this is the thing that happens with the paleo diet, and the issue that they're dealing with is they always go back to that data right after agriculture came along. And they'll say, you see, this is what happened. We started eating these grains. We started, stopped living like a caveman. And look what happened to us. We had arthritis. We started, our
they're looking at, they're day players. They're not looking at the long term, the big picture.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
But they always come back to that. And so what they say is that in a nutshell, to be healthy, and there's different layers of like the paleo diets and different paleo caveman diets, stress different things. But to be healthy, they say we have to go back to eating what our ancestors ate before agriculture.
Right.
So, what they're shooting for is somewhere about 60,000 years ago to about 10,000 years ago what we ate.
Oh, God. And here we go.
Yeah. Oh. And usually what they say is that they'll, you eat lean meat, preferably grass-fed to be like wild animals.
Okay.
Fish, seafood, non-starchy vegetables, fruit, nuts, and berries, but no grains and no dairy, because those all came
later
after the domestication of animals. Yeah.
And not even in your coffee. You can't have just a little splash.
No, that's
just to
paleo.
cut it.
But I mean, if you want to be hardcore, it's like, hey, there was no coffee. They were, eat the berries, eat the fresh berries.
I'm out. If there's no coffee, I'm not doing this.
The other thing their rationale for it is that they say that evolution takes hundreds of thousands of years, if not millions of years. And as you said, we're a pretty new species, but the thing is we've only been living off of agriculture for about 10,000 years. So what they're usually the paleo diet, their argument is, hey, we didn't evolve fast enough. Our evolution hasn't caught up with what we're eating right now. And that's basically what's, we're still genetically adapted to a hunter-gatherer diet.
Okay.
And they say that's why we don't feel healthy. Now, nutritionists usually say there are some good things to the paleo diet, which is, usually you cut out processed foods, which is probably the biggest problem, is like eating, lots of sugar in your donuts and everything. That's lots of. I stacked on weight one time in Chicago when I commuting into downtown. I would eat 2 donuts every day. I just got huge. But, they were good.
But that was good living, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Was that when we were living together in that 3-story?
No,
there was a horrible summer. Do you remember that horrible summer we lived together in the top floor of a heat wave in Chicago? It was like over 90 for like 3 months or some ungodly amount. Oh God.
Oh.
With a woman and her kid, and they had a rabbit. A rabbit.
I just remember sweating in there in the living room and nobody was home. And just that rabbit would come out and he just like take 2 hops, bloop, bloop, and then like some rabbit little turds would drop out. Like look like raisinets. Bloop, bloop. And then 2 jumps, hops.
That was when I convinced you to come up to Chicago.
I know.
I was like, come on, you got to come up here. Oh,
that was a hard summer.
A hard summer. Hot. I'll never forget it.
So some of the things from an anthropological standpoint, some of the problems are with the paleo diet is that, for one thing, there was no one paleo diet. You can't really define what a paleo diet was at that
right, because everybody was scavenging and just trying to get by.
Right. And the people that were living in the savannas in Africa, for example, would obviously be scavenging things different from the people living in Alaska or what's Alaska now. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's also hard to tell if people actually ate a lot of meat at that time, if that's the only thing they ate, because that's usually the bones are the only thing that survive and until the present day. So all the kind of plant matter doesn't survive. So we don't know how much they were actually eating at that time.
Right. We'd find all the bones in the cave showing that they did eat animals, but we'd have no idea how many Brussels sprouts they ate.
Right. And you can go in and you can look at stable isotope analysis of carbon and nitrogen in the enamel of the teeth of a skull, if you find a skull.
Yeah.
And you can tell there what people were eating at the time. And
really? Jesus.
Yeah. And for example, what we found is Australopithecus, for example, Africanus, ate a variety of things, including seeds, roots, tubers, and possibly grazing animals. So they were basically eating anything they could get their hands on.
You're talking about Lucy now, right?
Right.
That's
exactly.
Lucy. But weren't they really tiny?
Yeah.
How the hell were they killing grazing animals? They were all like 3 feet tall, right? God, there must have been dozens of them. Yeah. It's just like a horde of these little warriors coming at the wildebeest.
That's a nightmare. Like the first dozen, you're like, okay, whatever. And in a book called Paleo Fantasy, Marlene Zook talks about, she says that early humans trapped or fished, relied on large game or small, collected a large proportion of their food, depending on where in the world they lived and the time period in which they were living. And so basically, it's like,
what kind of statement is that? That's like, it depends on when it was and where you were. Yeah. Is basically that sentence.
Okay. And Colin Barras says in an article that he wrote called Ancient Leftovers Show the Real Paleo Diet Was a Veggie Feast. He talks about a study done in Israel on Neolithic sites there, or Paleolithic sites there. And they found 55 different kinds of plants in these prehistoric sites. So there were a lot of plants being eaten at the time.
Yeah. It makes sense. They're easier to kill than a, woolly mammoth. Those things are gigantic.
Yeah. And there's a Nama Goran Inbar is the archaeologist that's working on that site. And she says that having a broad taste in food gave early humans a good chance of finding palatable food year round.
Yeah.
So again,
can you imagine being a picky eater? If you were a picky eater, you were screwed. I'm sorry. I don't eat the grass. Okay.
All right.
Well, that's what we have today. So.
Yeah, it's like if you think that all you ate was like woolly mammoth is like crazy to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You eat whatever you got.
And you always have. What was that movie Into the Wild about that guy that went up to Alaska and tried to live off the land? And apparently that happens in Alaska a lot. Like people go up there and try to live off the land. And you can kill a moose, but it's like that will go bad. Plus you have to fight with the other scavengers for it.
Oh, and you have to cook it or eat it raw and
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to eat grass is what you're going to eat, right? You're just going to eat. You go with a group of people. Everybody starts eating whatever's around them. And if somebody dies, you're like, don't eat that.
Yeah.
Don't eat that mushroom.
I told him you had to have it.
It doesn't look right. It has dots on it, pink dots on it. That means poison.
And then Amanda Henry at the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology, she says that early diets would probably have tipped in the direction of being plant-based.
Yeah.
Because we need plant-derived nutrients to survive, like vitamin C and fiber, and only a very little amount of animal protein and fat is needed to supplement a predominantly plant-based diet.
Right. So and she's saying because we've adapted that way, that demonstrates that that's probably what we ate the most, because evolution, we evolved to make more use of plants because they were more common. And
right.
And we should, there's no question in my mind that everybody should be vegetarian. There's no question. I mean, I anybody who argues anything else, I think you're not looking at the facts, but God damn, meat is good.
I know, there's something.
It's just so good.
I don't think we need the bone marrow anymore to like make our brains get bigger. But yeah, it's
God, bacon. That's I have a one-word response. Bacon.
Sites in South Africa show roasted starchy plants called rhizomes, which are like they have the shoots or the stem is underground in the rhizome, that type of plant. And those are roasted going back 170,000 years ago. So people were eating these starchy plants.
Yeah, I always think about, whenever I hear that, I always think about who was the first person to dig something out of dirt and eat it. It's so crazy, isn't it? When you think about it?
Yeah.
Or the first person to eat cheese, Wait a minute.
What is that?
Wait a second. Don't throw it away. Don't throw it away.
And finally, I have to talk about one aspect of the whole paleo lifestyle is, and this isn't everybody that does a paleo, but it seems to appeal to misogynists and racists as well.
Why is that?
Because they think, the argument is they're going back to this kind of idealized golden age of a primal human before humans went bad. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm going to go back to when men were the hunters, men were the subservient, gatherers,
Yeah, that far right wing, it's always about going back. But there is no back.
Yeah,
because there's always a back before the back.
And also you kind of cherry pick your details. Out of it. You're kind of creating the golden age that you're saying you want to go back to.
Yeah, the golden age was like sitting around in your own excrement.
Well, I would say too, from an anthropological standpoint, hunting and the sharing of meat is a very complex social arrangement. And
look at you with your ice cream. Look at you with your ice cream. It brings out the worst in us.
I wasn't. Yeah, I went in there. I found my group. You know what I mean? But it was. But again, it's hunting's a risky business. You probably couldn't do it on your own. You couldn't take down a mammoth on your own.
Oh God, no! It takes dozens, and one person to be the rabbit. Who's that guy? Hey, Wiley, over here. While everybody else is hidden in the bushes. That's who I'd be. Right. Hey! You gonna come get me?
Here's a carrot.
Yeah. Right. Now! And everybody's like, not yet. Just got to get closer.
And I would say too, it's like a lot of these people that go with this paleo lifestyle, like I'm a man, I eat meat, nobody tells me what to do. And actually, from a Paleolithic standpoint or an anthropological standpoint, if there's one thing that characterized group dynamics back then was cooperation.
Yes.
Like you couldn't be a lone wolf and survive in the Paleolithic period.
Yeah. Or you'd be killed. Like if somebody found you with that ice cream, those tourists you'd be dead tied to the front of that tourist bus riding out of Tulum. Son of a bitch.
Almost got killed. Mary and our friends almost killed me when we finally got back to the resort we were staying at. They were like, "Oh, I got to go get some food now." And I was like, "Food? What are you talking about? I'm completely full. I've had my ice cream and coffee." They were so pissed off.
Yeah.
Some other things, just this whole idea of like men hunters, women gatherers. There's been some studies that came out over this summer that were saying, with an atlatl, with a spear thrower, women could be just as efficient with hunting as men could. So I think you're probably going to see this whole idea of a division of labor in the hunter-gatherer, like men hunt, women. I think everybody had to be out for the hunt.
Here's a shocker. It sucked, and anybody who could help helped.
Right.
if that 9-year-old boy can hit a giant sloth from 200 meters, then make him the leader of I'm following him.
The little kid. I mean, my dad used to have us kids be. He used to have the kids be the hunting dogs. When they didn't have hunting dogs, we go flush the quail out. So I mean, that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
So I think probably people just really had to be. If you were hunting, everybody hunted. If you were gathering, then everybody was down there digging roots.
Mm-hmm.
And I think probably people who believe in the extreme form of the paleo diet, probably it won't make any difference to what people believe.
No.
But that's probably what it was. So, John, we have now reached the point. I'm done talking. I've worked up my appetite. I hope your appetite is
I haven't eaten. The only thing I've eaten today is tomato soup and challah bread. So that's the only thing I've had, and coffee.
Oh. This will go well with it.
We'll see what happens. Well, I've got all of my food spread out in front of me here. Okay. I'm ready.
So everyone, just so you know, I've put together a 7-course. There's a lot here, a lot to eat, actually.
A lot,
A 7-course authentic paleo meal.
Yeah,
and
this
a lot
is
of this stuff
really.
I gathered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And John, just so you know, I apologize that we don't have any brackish water. I hope you have some water, but not brackish water.
I have my water. It's not brackish. it's Brita. It's Brita water.
You should. We should throw some mud in there, because most likely, as Paleolithic humans, we would have been drinking out of a watering hole that was used by other animals,
filled with urine and poo and dead animal. Oh God! Thank God we weren't born that day.
It sounds awful.
It's just awful.
So, course 1, I've chosen Zante currants for us. And Zante currants, I tried to find small dried berries for us.
Yes.
And the thing is, I was thinking that if we were a Paleolithic people, we would probably be looking for berries, but the other scavengers would have already got them, like birds and prehistoric squirrels and everything. So probably we would be finding just the dried berries that were left on the tree that after the
crap out. Yeah, we'd be lucky to get. All right. Yeah. Well, I'm fine with this. This is probably the one thing I'm not going to immediately throw away after our. Okay.
You can see where
these are little. They look like little dinky raisins for those of you who haven't had currant. Oh, God, those are good.
So those are pretty good. We would have loved those at the time. A lot of energy, a lot of sugar. You'd be like, John, try the mammoth.
No, thank you. I'm fine.
Okay.
All right.
So now, course 2 is 2 types of chestnuts. So the first one's going to be water chestnuts. And the reason I chose these is that this would be very similar to the rhizomes that they were roasting in South Africa.
Right.
And these would be similar to the roots. Like if we were down around a creek or down around a river, these would probably be some of the plants that we would be pulling out and eating the stems. So that's the reason why I chose these.
Okay. So I'm going to pop one into my mouth. Cheers.
Here we go.
Bon appetit. Great. These are great.
There's not much there to it.
No, but
very bland.
Yeah. But I like the texture. And it just reminds me of Chinese food,
Yeah.
But these
Would
are
you
a little...
eat those just eat those just out of a can? It seems like if you have soy sauce or they've been grilled, it's a little bit better.
But absolutely. But would I say no if I was hungry? I'd eat these.
The rhizomes. Look at you going right back to the currants, huh?
They're so good.
Yeah. I could see it be like, take it easy on those. Take it easy on those.
All right.
Okay, so this second part of course 2 is going to be a roasted chestnut. And the reason why I picked out the roasted chestnuts is this just for the texture. The texture is going to be close to like if we had picked out a nut that had probably fallen off a tree and it was like starting to rot. Maybe another animal had chewed into it. But it's also the texture of like a root. A root that somebody would have dug up and eaten. So
it looks like a turd. It looks like a turd.
Yeah. All right. You ready?
Bon appetit.
Okay. Hard to swallow. I don't know what you would do if you didn't have a flask with you. Like to eat that right where you found it and then have to run back over to that watering hole.
Yeah, you walk over to the currant tree and eat more of those currants. Oh, it's good with some brackish water. Brackish water, it goes right down.
There's no eating those fast, I don't think.
Ugh.
Oh, okay. All right.
I have a feeling that I'm going to be dreaming about the days when we were at because I'm seeing what's coming up here.
Do you see how I've kind of eased you in? Do you see how? Well, like this is like a whole court. This was like with a prehistoric chef who's leading you on a journey.
You would start with I'm going to have some more currants to cleanse my palate. Oh.
Okay, so course 3 would be eggs. I feel like if we were out looking for our like roots or nuts or looking for the berries, we would come across a bird's nest. Look at that. You did very well when you were gathering them. But they wouldn't be like the big eggs that we have now from a chicken. They would probably be like a smaller quail-sized egg from a small bird. And usually we would probably eat them if they weren't cooked. Now, these are cooked, so I apologize.
Right, we just crack the shell, or we probably just put the whole thing in our mouth, right?
I think so. Probably gobble up the whole thing.
But these are all hard. These are hard-boiled quail eggs. Look how cute they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cheers. I hope you washed that thing.
I did. I rinsed it off.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Not bad. Yeah. A little salt would be good on them.
Yeah. Paleo, you didn't have salt. You couldn't have salt.
No.
All right, course
salt?
4.
We got to do one on salt. I know you know a lot about salt.
Do.
Yeah, salt
read that book about salt.
Yeah, you did.
Course 4, we have mussels. And usually from a lot of archaeological sites, you'll find mussel shells. So people were eating a lot of mussels at that time.
Why? Because it was just easy to get? And there were fresh water and salt water, right?
Yeah. And they couldn't fight back, really. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a bison or something like that.
Right. Yeah, you had to be crazy to kill a bison. They're scary fucking thing.
Just think of how much of this you'd have to eat to like get full and be.
Oh, well, you snack. You just snack all day long, which is supposedly the way we should be eating, right? Or somebody said that. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So here we go.
That's it, right?
These are the mussels. Yeah. Normally these should be raw.
Yeah.
But these are cooked.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting one. All right. Cheers.
Cheers. Here we go.
Where's my currants? Okay. I don't like those.
Oh, that is a tough one.
Are those salt water or fresh water? Do we know?
We don't know, but they were supposed to have been put in. I rinsed mine off to give it more authentic flavor, but they were originally came in olive oil and stuff.
Yeah, I rinsed mine off too. Now I wish I hadn't. I could use a little olive oil.
You could taste the stream in that one, I guess. I would say. All All right, the next one would be small game.
Oh,
we would
boy.
have small game, and
Oh,
I tried
boy.
to find us. I tried to find us some cooked. You can get raw rabbit online, but it's very hard to find rabbit that's been cooked.
Yeah, and you wanted it to be at ready open.
Right. So I got us here. I thought we would have rabbits when we came back and we couldn't get a mammoth. We would have rabbit.
Wait, where
and
is
so I
my
have
rabbit?
Us rabbit jerky.
I'm having trouble finding my. I've got my chestnuts. Oh, I've got 2 chestnuts.
Yeah.
No,
you
but
should
I
have
mean,
2.
Okay, I've got my currant.
Did you get a rabbit?
I don't see a rabbit, but I thought I saw it. I've got 2. Oh boy. No, wait. Oh, he was hiding. I have the rabbit. Okay. Sorry.
So we have rabbit jerky. And apparently rabbits are some of the leanest animals that you can eat. And in fact, if you eat only rabbit, you can it will make you sick in a few weeks. If that was the only thing you could eat.
Ugh.
Yeah.
You need some fat.
So we're doing right.
Ooh,
exactly.
I just opened it. Ooh, that's rabbit, all right. Don't open it.
So we have rabbit, and then I also thought, well, when we were down by the stream getting our mussels, we may have saw a rabbit as well. So I have some.
You threw a rock at it. It was like a beautiful shot. There's a rabbit. You threw a rock. You hit it.
Yeah.
It was still alive.
I'm trying to kill with it. It's snapping turtle. This is snapping turtle jerky, and there's nothing scarier than to be in the water, swimming at the lake, and someone yell, "Turtle!"
So what are we going to eat first?
So there we
want to eat the rabbit first?
Let's go with rabbit first. Is that what you have?
Okay. Yep. Here we go.
Here we go.
Bon appetit. Oh, not bad.
Not bad. Mind you, we wouldn't have had all that. There's like some sugar in that.
Yeah,
I think.
That's why I like it. It's got a little spice to it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. We may have to go camping, Paleolithic camping, and like do a show about that.
That's
just start
good.
to live that way.
All right, here's the turtle. The snap. Ooh, that rabbit was good. It was spicy.
Okay.
This turtle, the snapping turtle, is from Newport, Rhode Island. All right, stand by. All right, I'm ready. Okay, did you already try it? Okay.
No, I'm waiting for you. This is a snapping turtle.
Uh-huh. In a pinch, I'd eat it. I mean,
it'd be hard to get it out of that shell, I think.
Yeah, and but just oh God, we're getting down to the scary stuff. I just saw the pile. Oh God.
Okay, so John, one thing that they never talk about is
oh boy, oh God. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can do this.
Humans ate a lot of insects, and there are certain cultures that still eat a lot of insects. Central American cultures, African cultures. And so what I have here is a bag of mixed edible bugs.
Oh my God, you gave me 2.
Yeah, in case you like it. I sent an extra.
Oh, so here's the bugs. So they don't really list what the bugs are.
Well, yeah, it's a
centipede, a grasshopper, another kind of grasshopper-y type thing. Oh my God, is that a cicada?
It's a silkworm and crickets and a sago worm, whatever that is.
Oh God, I don't know. So
we there's a couple. Here's a grasshopper. And we'll put photos of these up on the
God, look at all of them. Look at all of them in there. Jesus.
If you go online to their website, they have like a little toddler, like about 2, like just eating away on these things. And I'm like, kid. You're going to hold this against your parents at one point.
Okay. I'm going to eat one of these. I'm going to eat a grub.
Okay.
Because the legs scare me.
Are you going to nibble or are you going to go full on?
I'm going to pop and swallow.
Okay, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Here we go.
1, 2, 3. Oh! Currents. Where's my currents?
Oh, that's
God,
awful.
that's awful.
The grasshoppers know better. And I don't know what this thing is. Somebody stepped on this one.
Oh, God. That's wrong. That is wrong. We should never have eaten those.
Oh.
No
I don't know.
wonder
Do you get used?
That's the kind of thing a species that's only 10,000 years old eats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Idiots.
They're always available, though. You can always find a snack when you're out there in the cave.
God, I hated that. Oh, here we go. Now we're at the granddaddy.
This is it. The other thing they talk about people eating.
I just don't know. Oh, my God. Are you going to eat it? Oh.
It's a tarantula. It is a tarantula.
There's so many things wrong with this. Just holding a tarantula, even. I don't even want to touch it.
This one kind of looks like he's like covering his eyes or something. I don't know.
He's ashamed. He's ashamed that he's about to be eaten. I don't know.
We were in Colorado one time.
Oh, God.
Mary's written a book that takes place on the Goodnight Loving Cattle Trail. And so we were up there driving the Goodnight Loving Cattle Trail. And we got into southern Colorado. And there were just thousands and thousands for miles of little tarantulas about this size out on the road. So I think that would have been a common thing for people to eat.
Oh my God! No! Okay. I've got a leg, a tarantula leg. That's what I'm gonna eat.
Okay.
Ready?
Here we go. Paleo.
What? You won't see any of those tough guys eating this shit. You know what I mean?
That's like I live on these insects and the tarantulas.
Oh God! I just got. I'm like, you know what it's like? I feel the same way that I felt when you stand on a cliff and it's a 40-foot drop and you just have to do it, but your body doesn't want to do it. It's the same thing. Okay. I'm ready.
Ready?
Yeah. 1,
2,
3.
No. Oh, it's awful.
That's awful. That's just awful. That's just awful. Oh my God! I can't believe I just ate a piece of a tarantula. Jesus!
You chew down in it though.
What is wrong with us? You ate the whole thing. You ate like the abdomen.
Dry.
Oh my
God! The
abdomen
is like I can't chew it up. I can't chew it. There's something in there.
Take it like a pill. Swallow it like a pill. Eat some currants or eat some currants or brackish water.
Furry. It was furry
God,
too.
Oh God! So were the legs. This was the worst idea you've ever had. Oh my God! Oh,
that is awful. That is awful.
The smell. Oh my God! The smell. What is wrong with that? I can't believe we survived. I can't believe we're still around as a species. That was horrible.
That really was. That was more, I thought it would be salty or something. I didn't know, but it was just like eating a tea bag.
A crunchy tea bag that wasn't a tea bag. It was a fucking spider. Go back to the currants. That's the only thing that'll save you. Wait, we have dessert, right?
We have dessert, yeah. So finally, John, for dessert, something that every Paleolithic person would dream of was honeycomb. Yeah. But you would also have to fight, you'd have to fight the bees.
Yeah.
You'd also have to fight other animals that were trying to get in there.
Yeah.
But this is, it's still, even back then, it was all about dessert, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, this.
All right.
All right. You ready?
Yeah. Are you? And you can eat the entire comb.
Yeah,
well.
that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just take a bite out of it.
Okay. Ready?
Cheers. Yeah.
Cheers.
1, 2, 3. God, is that good?
After eating spiders and mussels, you could see how that would really... people must have gone crazy over that.
God, yeah. It must have been like cocaine, you know? The first person who figured it out just be like, oh my God.
It just covered his entire face, just covered in feasting.
And they're just saying, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Trust me.
That's how good it is. It's worth it.
So anyway,
good.
John, congratulations.
You are
episode 20.
You're an amazing man. You really are. You put this together. I think we should do it every 20 episodes.
Okay.
We should revisit, and
some
see...
historical cuisine. Maybe that's what we'll do.
Yeah, I'm reading a book about shipping, ships and sailors in the early 1800s and the stuff they ate on the ships. Oh God. Because they couldn't keep anything fresh and they'd salt stuff, lots of puddings and, they talk about eating a ham and they're like, oh no, half of it's bad, but they still ate the other half. Just disgusting.
Well, keep track of that list, or make a list, and we'll put that together for episode 40.
Okay.
But
wow.
Anyway, I hope everyone is.
No wonder they didn't do anything else the rest of the day. It's after you ate a tarantula, you just needed a nappy,
Yeah. What happened? What happened to me?
These scientists are wrong. It was harder back then because you had to eat this crap. We got it much better off working 60-hour weeks because we don't have to eat tarantulas. That's the bottom line. That's the payoff.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to go open a bag of potato chips.
Or to think that you had to be eating that all the time to keep your calories up.
Oh, my God.
Because I don't know. Yeah.
That's why you didn't move
all right.
Much. I'm exhausted.
Well, John,
how do you feel? You feel okay? You feel sick to your stomach?
I don't know. The tarantula was tough. Tarantula was tough.
Well, you ate the whole thing. I just ate a leg. Yeah. I couldn't believe you did that.
You can come back.
Oh, my God.
You'll wake up in the middle of the night, got the munchies, head downstairs, grab that tarantula out of there. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to
bring off another leg.
Well, this was a happy 20th episode.
You too.
Wow. I don't feel so good.
Thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this. Please, if you found this interesting at all, tell a friend about it.
I think it's the currants that have made me sick. I ate too many currants.
You were really hammering that. That's your go-to.
It was a bad move.
Couldn't stop.
It was a bad move. Just stick with the brackish water, everybody.
I'm worried about those eggs. Those eggs were canned in Thailand, and I have no idea where that water was.
They were good though. They were all right.
Yeah,
a little salt, but they're all right.
Anyway,
all right. Sorry. This is human number 2 signing off.
And this is human number 1. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us for 20 episodes. It's quite an accomplishment. We'll keep going, and we'll see where we end up. And if you enjoyed this, please tell a friend, or better yet, host your own paleo meal.
Yes.
And send us the photograph.
Yeah,
and we'll
video
put it up on the Facebook.
Yeah. If you do a paleo meal, anybody who eats a tarantula, we will post and post and post.
Yeah. So, anyway, thank you, everybody. Thank you, John. Love you guys.
Thank you.
And
Love
we will
you.
talk to you later. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.